Darkness hung over Gotham City, thick as smoke, heavy as dread. But tonight, something felt different. The air didn't just hum with danger. It trembled. Pressure Batman couldn't explain. High above the skyline, the Dark Knight stood on a rooftop, cape whispering in the wind. His cowl scanned frequencies, tracking a strange energy tearing through the atmosphere. And then, the sky ripped open. A swirling portal erupted over Crime Alley, twisting with colors Gotham had never seen. Its edges sparked with wild, untamed power, the kind that didn't belong in this world. Batman narrowed his eyes. Not magic, not tech, something else. Before he could analyze it, a figure shot out like a cannonball, spinning, yelling, laughing. A boy, wearing a straw hat. He slammed into a rooftop with a thunderous crash, bounced twice, then landed on his feet as if his body had forgotten what bones were supposed to do. Wow! This place is super dark, he shouted. Oi! Anybody know where the One Piece is? Batman's jaw tightened. His first thought, metahuman. His second, trouble. The boy grinned, stretching his arms like noodles. Monkey D. Luffy. A name Batman didn't know yet, but soon would. But before the Dark Knight could engage, the portal behind Luffy shattered completely, unleashing a burst of energy that tore through city blocks. Buildings groaned, lights flickered, an entire district dimmed. Batman sprang into action, grappling downward to shield civilians. Behind him, Luffy hopped after him like a kid chasing a balloon. You look strong. Wanna fight? Luffy asked, eyes sparkling with excitement. Batman didn't respond. He was too busy stabilizing falling debris, redirecting beams, pulling people to safety. But Luffy helped too. Not carefully, not strategically, just enthusiastically. He caught collapsing structures with giant rubber arms. He bounced rubble away with his chest. He even flung a car back onto the road without realizing the shockwave knocked half the street over. Batman glared. Stop. Helping. Luffy beamed. Helping is what pirates do. In that instant, Batman understood two things. 1. Luffy wasn't malicious. 2. Luffy was a disaster waiting to happen. Batman activated a sonic pulse from his gauntlet. Luffy flinched, covering his ears. Ow! Why'd you do that? I need you calm. And quiet. But calming Monkey D. Luffy was like trying to put chains on sunlight. Luffy stretched his neck up to Batman. You smell like justice. I like that. Batman took a breath, controlled, measured. You fell through a dimensional rift. If we don't stabilize it, your world and mine will collapse. Luffy blinked. So, we fix it? Yes. And then we fight? Batman's silence spoke volumes. A moment passed. The rift pulsed again. Thunder cracked, and a wave of unstable energy surged outward. Batman's HUD exploded with warnings. Luffy didn't wait. He sprinted blasted ahead, rubber legs firing like pistons. Gomu Gomu no. Rocket! He shot straight into the heart of the anomaly. Batman cursed under his breath. Reckless idiot. He launched after him, grappling upward, gliding through the storm of warped wind. In the void above Gotham, Luffy punched the swirling mass with all his might, and the universe punched back. A shockwave erupted, hurling Batman into a billboard and sending Luffy spiraling into a water tower. The rift expanded, unstable, aggressive, hungry. Batman rose, coughing. His armor flickered. Sparks danced across his gauntlets. And then, the entire rift bent inward, focused on a single target. Luffy. The portal wanted the rubber boy back. Luffy stood tall, water dripping off him, grinning even as lightning crackled around his arms. He didn't fear the void. He didn't fear anything. But Batman saw the calculations instantly, the trajectory, the force, the pattern. If the portal consumed Luffy, it would tear reality with him. The world couldn't survive the stress. Batman dove off the edge, grappling through shockwaves, sliding across twisted air currents until he reached Luffy. With a surge of strength, he slammed a capsule into Luffy's arm. A burst of blue energy wrapped around the pirate. Whoa! What's this? A stabilizer, Batman said. Keeps you anchored to this world. Luffy laughed. Cool. Now can we fight? Batman stared at him. A man forged in discipline, standing before a boy made of chaos. A clash of brains versus rubber power. But the rift wasn't done. A monstrous surge of energy burst outward, throwing both of them into the ruins below. When Batman opened his eyes, dust rising from the street, Luffy stood on the other side. Unharmed, smiling, fists ready. Okay, Batman, he said. I've waited long enough. His shadow stretched across the cracked pavement. Show me how strong you really are. And for the first time, Batman realized this wasn't an attack. This was a force of nature in human form. An unstoppable storm wearing a straw hat. And the Dark Knight would have to stop him. The street lay cracked beneath their feet. Smoke drifted along the ruined pavement. And between the destruction stood two impossibilities. The Dark Knight, calculating every angle, and the future Pirate King, smiling like the world was a game waiting to be played. Batman didn't move first. He never did. He watched, measured, understood. Luffy bounced on his heels, fists clenched with wild excitement. Come on, Batman. Let's fight already. Batman's voice was calm, cold, steady. You don't want this fight. Luffy laughed. But I do. You look strong. I want to see how strong. Before Batman could respond, Luffy lunged. Not stepping, not running, but launching himself with an elastic burst. Gomu Gomu no. Pistol. His fist shot forward, stretching across the street like a cannonball of rubber muscle. Batman's eyes narrowed. He dodged with a single sidestep, but the force of the punch shattered the concrete behind him, blasting stone into dust. Luffy blinked. Whoa! You're fast. No, Batman wasn't fast. He was prepared. He hurled 3 pellets to the ground. They exploded into thick smoke, clouding the battlefield. Luffy waved his arms, coughing. Hey! I can't see. Batman swept in silently from behind, striking pressure points, driving electric prods into Luffy's ribs and back. Sparks danced across the pirate's skin, 50,000 volts of focus charge. It should have dropped a charging bull. Luffy only twitched. Ow! What was that? Batman didn't answer. He'd already moved, analyzing the effect. Rubber. Non-conductive. Electricity wouldn't work. Luffy turned, grinning. His laughter echoed across the empty street. Oh, I get it. You're trying stuff. Cool. Try more. Batman activated thermal imaging. Luffy's internal heat signatures were bizarre, no strain, no fatigue. His biology didn't read like any meta Batman had ever seen. Luffy charged again, spinning backward with childlike enthusiasm. Gomu Gomu no. Axe. His legs stretched high above the rooftops, then came crashing down like a meteor. Batman rolled aside just as the impact cratered the road, sending shockwaves through buildings. Glass rained down. The ground trembled. Luffy hopped back up, laughing. Man, this place breaks easy. Batman's jaw tightened. Civilians were still nearby. Every second lost meant more danger. He fired grapnels, swinging around Luffy, wrapping cable around the pirate's arms. Luffy watched curiously as Batman tightened the binds. You gonna tie me up? He asked. Batman answered with action. He pulled a device from his belt, a compression charge. It exploded with a concussive blast meant to pin superhuman targets. Dust erupted. A shockwave rolled down the street. When it cleared, Luffy stood perfectly fine, the steel cables dangling in broken coils. He blinked. Batman, you're pretty fun. Batman wasn't amused. He activated his cowl comms. Alfred, I need an analysis of the anomalous human who entered Gotham. Alfred replied instantly. Already running diagnostics, sir. However, preliminary scans suggest his physiology follows no known logic. Batman's eyes shone. I noticed. Luffy suddenly stretched his face inches from Batman's own, smiling wide enough to break logic. "You're talking to someone. Tell them I said hi." Batman stepped back. "Don't invade my space." Luffy laughed. "You're so serious." The pirate's fists curled. His smile vanished, not threatening but focused. "Okay, Batman. Round 2. Before Batman could react, Luffy inhaled, his chest expanding like a balloon. Gear second. Steam erupted from Luffy's skin, his blood pumping at impossible speed. His movement blurred, his punches cracked the air. Batman barely dodged the first strike. The second grazed his armor, denting reinforced plating. The third sent him skidding across the street, boots carving lines in the ground. Batman's ribs screamed with pain. His HUD flickered with impact warnings. Luffy looked thrilled. "You're tough. Most people go flying when I do that." Batman staggered up, breath controlled. "Your abilities rely on momentum. Predictable. Pattern-based." Luffy tilted his head. "Eh?" Batman reached into his belt. A flash of red light. Polymer capsule. A time trap. He hurled it under Luffy's feet. Luffy looked down. "What's that?" It detonated. A spherical net of hardened nanocables shot out, anchoring into buildings, forming a cage around Luffy. Energy fields activated, compressing inward. "Whoa!" Luffy pressed against the field. It resisted even his rubber strength. Batman approached, cape flickering behind him. "You're powerful, but you're reckless. A danger. And I don't allow danger in Gotham." Luffy grinned. "You think this cage can hold me?" Batman's expression stayed flat. "It's designed to restrain Class 3 meta-brawlers." Luffy laughed. "I don't know what that means, but I'm hungry." He drew a breath. His muscles tightened. Steam erupted again. Gear second. Jet pistol. He punched the field. The shockwave rippled through the wires. The cage vibrated. The anchors bent. Batman's eyes widened a fraction. Not enough to show fear, but enough to admit calculation failure. Luffy punched again. And again. Raw, joyful energy in every blow. With a burst of force, the entire containment system shattered. Energy fields collapsed. Nanocables snapped like noodles. Luffy stepped out, patting off dust. "That was cool. Got another one." Batman didn't answer. He was already adapting. He activated his suit's kinetic dampeners, recalibrating to counter Luffy's momentum-driven attacks. But Luffy wasn't waiting. He stretched an arm skyward, wrapped it around a distant tower, and catapulted himself forward. Luffy rocketed toward him with a grin. Batman braced. Their clash sent a shockwave through the street. Stone exploding, cars flipping, air ripping apart. Batman slid backward, armor trembling. Luffy bounced once, then landed, still smiling. "You hit hard. I like that." Batman's voice was colder than steel. "This ends now." Luffy cracked his knuckles. "Nope. Now it gets fun." They stood there, facing each other in the ruined streets of a city that had never seen chaos like this. Brains against rubber. Strategy against instinct. Precision against overwhelming, joyful power. And deep above them, unnoticed, the dimensional rift pulsed again. Growing. Unstable. Hungry. Their fight wasn't just a clash. It was the spark that could tear both worlds apart. The first punch doesn't come from Luffy. It comes from the man who rarely throws one. Batman moves in first. A blur of skill. A strike aimed not to hurt, but to test. Luffy's head snaps back, only for his neck to stretch and snap forward again. That goofy grin still painted across his face. "Wow. You hit hard." The praise sounds almost innocent, but the ground beneath Luffy's sandals cracks as he leans in, ready to launch. Batman tightens his stance. Every second, every breath, every twitch of Luffy's muscles. He reads all of it. He knows this is where the Real Storm begins. And it does. Luffy disappears. Not with stealth. Not with grace. But with pure speed born from wild freedom. Batman only sees the afterimage before a fist the size of a boulder comes crashing down. A gomu gomu no giant pistol roars downward like a falling meteor. Batman dives aside, but the shockwave alone rips a trench into the rooftop. This is no longer a friendly spar. This is a test of philosophy. Rubber chaos versus perfect calculation. Unchained instinct versus trained clarity. A boy who chose adventure versus a man who lost his childhood. Luffy charges again. Faster this time. His fist twists, compresses, steam igniting off his skin. Gear second. Batman narrows his eyes. He expected this. He pivots, throws a pellet. The explosion releases a cloud that disrupts air pressure around Luffy's body. Luffy punches through it, but his attack veers an inch off its mark. Just 1 inch. But to Batman, 1 inch is enough to live. Luffy skids, confused just long enough for Batman to fire a grapnel, wrap Luffy's arm, and spin his weight forward, slamming him into the concrete. Luffy laughs. Of course he laughs. Batman studies him. Even thrown, even disoriented, Luffy's spirit doesn't crack. That is the most dangerous thing about him. Luffy springs up, hair sparking like embers. His voice deepens, energy surging beneath his skin. Gear fourth. Boundman. The air shivers. The world bends. Rubber becomes a cannon of living muscle. Batman's cape billows from the pressure alone. But he stands ready, unflinching, as the Titan barrels toward him. The hit lands. It's like being hit by a freight train made of spring-loaded steel. Batman's ribs protest, armor groaning as he's hurled across the rooftop. He rises. Slow. Measured. Every system in the suit is screaming. But Batman has always been louder. He launches countermeasures, shock burst pads, electrical snares, kinetic dampeners, every piece of tech calibrated specifically to disrupt rubber elasticity. Luffy powers through most of it. But not all of it. Boundman wobbles for the first time. Batman presses the advantage, planting a device onto Luffy's chest. It emits rotating pulses, forcing Luffy's body to stretch involuntarily, pulling him off balance. Luffy's eyes widen. His instincts fight it. But elasticity is both his power and his vulnerability. Batman steps forward. "You're strong," he says calmly. "Stronger than anyone has a right to be. But strength without focus creates openings." Luffy grins despite the pressure warping him. "Yeah? Then I'll just close them." The ground shakes. The pulses distort. Luffy's haki ignites, black lightning dancing around him. Gear fourth collapses, then reforms. Snakeman. His body thins, stretching with whip-like ferocity as Batman's gadgets begin to lose their efficacy. Batman braces. He sees what's coming. Not a punch. Not a kick. A storm. Python. Luffy's arms whip from every direction at once. Angles impossible to predict, motions impossible to read. For the first time, Batman feels it. A battle he cannot win with analysis alone. He responds with his ultimate failsafe. A device only to be used against beings far beyond human limits. A gravitational pulse emitter. It detonates with a low-frequency boom. Invisible force crushes the air, creating instant drag around Luffy's elastic form. His punch is slow. His momentum dies. His rubber compresses. Just enough for Batman to make his move. He steps in. One strike. A single nerve-loaded jab to the pressure point beneath Luffy's ribs. The rubber body tenses, locked for a split second. But a split second is eternity for Batman. He pulls back, breathing steady. The rooftop falls silent. Luffy stands there, still energized, still ready to go. But he's not attacking, just watching, studying. And then he smiles. "That was amazing. You're really tough." Batman nods back. "You too. You fight with your heart. That makes you unpredictable. And unpredictability is the one thing even genius struggles against." Luffy laughs again, the tension gone. "I want to fight you again someday." Batman closes the emitter on his belt. "Then I'll be ready." They stand on the rooftop, Two warriors with opposite worlds, opposite methods, but the same refusal to quit. And now comes the quiet truth of their encounter. Batman cannot overpower Luffy. Luffy cannot outthink Batman. Their battle ends in a place between victory and understanding. Brains versus rubber. Order versus chaos. Dark Knight versus Future King. And somewhere within that clash is a lesson, that even the smartest man in the world can be pushed beyond his limits by a boy made of rubber and dreams stronger than steel. Because sometimes, the deadliest force in the universe isn't power, it's freedom, and Luffy carries that more than anyone alive. This encounter leaves Batman with a rare thought. If he ever faced Luffy for real, he might just need help. As for Luffy, he walks away with a new goal, a new excitement. He fought a man who couldn't stretch, but whose mind stretched farther than the sea itself. A worthy rival, a strange friend, a battle neither will forget. And as their worlds drift apart again, one final question lingers. If these two cross paths once more, will it be as allies or challengers? Only time can answer, but one thing is certain. Their next clash will shake worlds. If you enjoyed this deep dive into impossible battles, make sure to subscribe for more epic cross-universe showdowns.